so many, hey, it's so many, yo, it's so many, yo, it's so many lies. Look in my eyes, they know I'm the truth. They know that. Knocking them down every time I step in the booth. We ain't got a lie, they know we the vibe, we living in proof. Young conscious, shoot my life a movie, I live in a spoof. Ain't no sticking around, I'm on the move, I'm checking the deuce. Yeah, it's only us two, so you know we copping that cool. We on the roof, smoking dope, look at the view. Yeah, we used to chill on the stoop, now we out here breaking the news. It ain't shit you.
All right, so Black female World War II unit 6888 gets Congressional Gold Medal, finally. The 6888 was the only Black all-female unit that served in Europe during World War II, comprised of 855, let me say that again, comprised of 855 members. The battalion handled a backlog of approximately 17 million pieces of mail in just 3 months. Their service included operations in France and their subsequent return to the United States. The unit played an important role in paving the way for greater inclusions of Black women in the military. The battalion was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal on April 29th at the U.S. Capitol. The medal was presented by Speaker Mike Johnson, with more than 300 descendants and family members in attendance. The award was the result of years of advocacy and earned unanimously during the Biden administration. So don't think this asshole did it for us. The medal was presented to the families of Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Early, the unit commander. This recognition underscores the leadership of Black women in military history. The ceremony highlighted the importance of bipartisan support to honor these trailblazing service members. The story of the 6888 has gained national attention, inspiring books and movies. Leaders like the House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries emphasizes the significance of their legacy. The recognition serves as a celebration of their ingenuity, perseverance, and the barriers they broke in a system designed to exclude them. The award reflects the Biden administration's commitment to acknowledging overlooked contributions of Black Americans in military history. It symbolizes progress in social justice, equality, and recognition of diverse members of American history. And that's what I'm saying. This goddamn place wasn't made by one damn race. It was made by a multitude. It ain't gonna work without all of us. If all of us rise, we all prosper. If one of us falls, we all fucking fall. Jackasses, you need to understand that shit. You're so busy trying to fucking one up someone. Shit. Did you ever think that if you helped your brother and your sister, that they could help you later on? Shit, man. Nah, you vote for these dirty bastards that are all about me. And that's it. Moving on into other stories of history. Let me tell you about Natalie Hindaris.
Emotional content.
So, Natalie Hindaris was born on June 15, 1927 in Oberlin, Ohio, poor woman, into a musically accomplished family with a jazz pianist and a classical pianist mother. Her great-grandfather also contributed to the family's musical legacy. She began playing piano at age 3 and gave her first recital by the age of 8. Hindaris was the youngest graduate of the Oberlin Conservatory Special Student School and continued her studies at the Juilliard School of Music in New York and the Philadelphia Conservatory of Music, completing formal training in 1953. A central goal of Hindaris' career was to expose audience, particularly Black audiences, to classical music. In the 1960s, she became an instructor at Temple University and toured historically Black colleges and universities, lecturing and performing works by Black classical musicians. She participated in the musical diplomacy program worldwide with the U.S. State Department, ensuring Black musicians were highlighted. In 1971, Hindaris became the first Black woman to appear as an instrumental soloist in a regular series with a major U.S. symphony, the Philadelphia Orchestra. I was thinking about the Philharmonic, sorry. She continued to lecture, teach, and perform up until her death from cancer in 1987 at the age of 60. In 1977, She interviewed in a 1977 interview. Hinderis criticized the narrow view that black music is limited to R&B or blues. She believed that black music encompasses any work composed by a black person who lived through black experiences, regardless of their genre. Hinderis, I hope I'm saying this name right. Hinderas noted that today the black identity in classical music is often indistinguishable from others, highlighting a broader and more inclusive understanding of black music. Natalie Hinderis remains a significant, I bet that name ain't even that, significant figure in black music history for breaking racial barriers in classical performance and education, for advocating for the recognition of black composers and musicians in classical music. And that's your history. We gonna move in to another one, but it's kind of history slash celebrity. So, and this is someone that my mom's a big fan of. So we gonna look at that right now. Give me just a moment so I can pull it up, because apparently this damn website right here, I swear to God, y'all need a better server or something every damn time. All right, here we go. So we gonna do a slideshow. So y'all check this out. Give me just a second so I can get it going, because we're talking about the life and death of Marvin Gaye.